Hello, everyone. Scott from Pillow Partners here. I am at Pillow HQ in the podcast studio. Super excited. If you've followed me on social media over the last few days, you'll know I've been looking forward to this one. I love in-person podcasts, and it's doubly exciting for me. I am here with the $1 million host, Julie George.
Hello.
And we picked you up. You're just off a flight from Dubai, Singapore.
Yeah. We just flew in from Dubai. So I've been in Singapore, Dubai. Now we're in Glasgow. And when I say we, I've come with my mother. So I've got a chaperone this time. So we have to behave ourselves.
So I got a twofer today. I got a two Julie Geordies and her mother. So she's next door, so we can let go and have a little bit of fun. I'm super excited for this. I am privileged that I can grab you between Dubai, all the big events. Most of you guys on here will know Julie, a celebrity in the industry. So I'm super excited to have her here. I'm not going to butcher your introduction, but let the audience know, for those of you that don't, who you are.
Well, folks, if you haven't come across me before, let me quickly introduce myself. This accent is from Australia. So g'day. And my claim to fame is building up a property management business of 130 properties in 2.5 years, $8 million turnover, built it, sold it just prior to COVID, which was fantastic timing. I've written a book about it. Shameless plug here, next to Scott Weir's book, in fact.
Slightly smaller.
Did you know that Scott Weir has written a book? So it's very exciting. But wrote a book, $1 Million Host. I get to now travel the world, speak at events, MC events, and I guess, coach others. I guess my purpose now is to positively impact as many short-term rental hosts as I can, and really help them replicate the success that I've seen in the short-term rental industry. So here I am in Bonnie, Scotland today.
Yes, we've got a few days in Scotland as well. You're going to head over to, we're in Glasgow. The pinnacle of any trip to Scotland is coming to Glasgow. So it can only go downhill when you see Edinburgh Castle and all these other historical Battle of Bannockburn. But you get to experience Glasgow tonight. So straight off a flight and listen, squeezing this in. So thank you very much. Guys, if you're watching live, please put your questions in. I will bring them up on screen whether you're watching live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you see this. Probably even going out on TikTok these days. Thank you to the amazing tech team behind. And this is a special podcast for us as well. Not only do we have one of the biggest guests here, sorry to the previous guests, but this is the last podcast we're doing here. We had a flying visit to the new office.
Oh my gosh.
The Centre of Excellence for Short-Term Rentals. So this is the last one. The guys are literally waiting behind here. When he's finishing, we're going to pack all this up. So this will be the end of an era, but the start of an even better one.
I was very privileged to get a quick tour of the new Pillow Partners headquarters. My gosh, Scott Weir, it is beyond belief. Like it is something out of San Francisco. It is it's Wolf of Wall Street ish. I can't wait to see it actually all furnished, sign written. I'm coming back.
You're definitely coming back. We might never let you leave. But enough about me, because this is about Julie, and I want her to bring massive value. You've heard a little bit of her story. We met last year at an industry retreat. Again in Scotland, we'd never met. It was a beautiful Scottish castle, 20 people, 20 experts of the industry and me coming together to talk about the future, share best practice, and just build bonds. And we did, and you're back here a year later.
Well, you did tell me to come. Glasgow was like the pinnacle, so I'm expecting big things.
Just remember, when you tell people, you're welcome back, come back anytime, they sometimes do turn up a year later. So I'm here with my mother. So there's some maybe fun stories. We're chatting earlier. Only 2 people have touched my bottom in 2023, and Julie was one of those.
I've not
2
washed
people.
these hands. I have got photos, and if anybody private message me, I can probably pull out that black mark.
I was in a kilt. I was asked if I was a true Scotman. We'll tell you that story another time. Watch to the end. We might share that. But for now, guys, I want to share Julie's amazing story with you. I want to hit it at some different levels because as an expert, you'll see, I'm going to ask in a second, what some of the things you've been doing. If you know Julie, hosting every event in the world. In Austin, Texas, everywhere, I think.
Yeah.
Every summit she seems to be hosting. So she needs to take a back seat and not MC today because it's Scott Weir in charge. So I will give her a day off. So guys, as we go through, please ask some questions. I can bring them on. Michael Topping, don't know if you know him.
Oh, no. Hi, Michael.
He says we
Thanks
made
for
it.
tuning in.
Thank you. So guys, if you're watching the live stream, you can put questions. If you're watching on the replay, obviously, please
Let us
follow
know
up.
where you're coming in from as well. So say hello, throw us something in the comment section.
Bang it in and I'll bring it on stage. So first thing for me, I'm trying to, when you said you were coming to Glasgow, you were coming from big industry events. What's some of the things you've been doing, some of the gigs you've had recently?
Look, I've got to tell you the highlights of 2024 already. I know we're still only in March, but early February, I was in Nashville and emceeing the big short-term rental wealth conference. Now that was 3,000 people. I was up there with Damon Johns from Shark Tank, Pace Morby, just some of the big, Hank Williams, some of the big names in short-term rentals, as well as in the real estate and finance sector in the United States. So I do a lot of work in the US. So the Nashville event was next level, lots of fun. I had this gold gun shooting money into the audience.
Nice.
And normally I'm on a bucking bronco or doing shots up on the stage or something ridiculous, but we had a great time this year. Just last week I was emceeing an event in Melbourne, Australia, the Strive conference, and we had about 200 people there, but just a really amazing vibe. The one thing that I love about this industry, and it was really prevalent last week, was just the way that we collaborate in this industry and the community feel. A lot of other industries, there's competition. We're not going to share our secrets with anybody. We're going to keep everything to ourselves. Not in this industry. We're all leaning in on each other, and I really want to foster that community spirit. Let's all lean in on each other. If you're having an issue, feel free to reach out to Scott,
100%.
to myself. Like, how can we help? Because if we can all help each other, it's going to make our industry stronger. We can educate the local governments, to help with regulations. But I just love it. And it was really prevalent last week. You can see, if you have a look on my social media, folks, if you're not following me already, jump on and have a look, and you'll see smiles from ear to ear. Like, we just genuinely have a good time at these conferences.
As it's a unique industry, even things, if you were going to maybe estate agency and other things, is quite kind of standoffish. But when we were at that event last, there was probably 5. 3 of my biggest competitors in the UK. Listen, we had dinner, we had fun, we've done clay pigeon shooting. It was just, so it isn't like that as an industry.
No.
It's very, very.
Well, we did falconry, and we had the bagpipes, and we had Scotch tasting, and like, it was the best. And we, it's genuinely like, I could say that I'm using these events. So I'm here in the UK for the Shorties Awards and the Short Stay Summit coming up in April. Obviously, I'm here a little early, right? So I'm, using it as a great excuse to travel the world. I've got my mum with me. It's her 70th birthday. So, but it's just, like seeing you today, seeing your new offices. I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. And like, it's just friends catching up. So,
it is. Talking about friends, when you're not traveling the world and hosting conferences, you're writing books. How many books have you written now?
4. So we've, as well as $1 Million Host, which was written in 2018, I've been very fortunate to be part of the Hospitable Host book series. So we've got 3 of those books out now. Book number 1 tells the follow-on from $1 Million Host about how I sold my business, how I then transitioned into the educational space. Book number 2, I wrote the foreword of that book with the amazing Mark Simpson from Boostly. And then book number 3, which has just come out a month ago, is the story of what I'm doing now and how I've built this dream life of flying around the country, hanging out in Glasgow, hanging out in Glasgow, wearing kilts, and then I'll go to Ireland next week for the very first time. I just get to see some amazing parts of the world, but I have created this lifestyle for myself where I'm doing one-on-one coaching, I'm doing speaking on stage, and just it's just great. So 4 books. How many have you written, Scott Weir?
Well, it doesn't matter. It's not about me. It's not about me. It's about you. Moving on for that first book. I've only written one. That's why I'm moving on rapidly. And those other books just happen to be in the background, but not mine. Random ones. So, $1 Million Host.
Yes.
You selling your business, and we're going to bring lots of value at different levels, especially to hosts out there. I think it's interesting times for our industry, guys, and I want to cover that. And I'm going to get Julie I'm going to get info out of her brain and into yours to help your businesses and young entrepreneurs as well. But before we do that, I'm going to be selfish and take that higher level approach about property management businesses, because I'm particularly interested in that. Because you started, Pablo's been going a long time, but we really relaunched the business in 2016. And I'm here grafting away, and Julie started it 2016
in Australia.
And exited. So tell us about building that business for those of you that are looking at building businesses.
Oh gosh, so it happened quite by surprise, to be honest. I mean, when I'm coaching people, I'm like, you've got to have a plan. You've got to know where you're going. For me in 2016, I really wanted to replace my income. So it was about, I was working as a realtor, and I just saw the opportunity in Australia. There really wasn't professional property managers in the short-term rental space, but I could see potential. And so after listing my own property and seeing the results on that, I remember having my first a real estate client come to me and says, Julie, I want a positive cash flow property. And I just looked at her and said, they just don't exist. It's like a unicorn, but how about we create one? Let's go find a property that you want to vacation in yourself. We'll buy it. I'm going to buy it. And sorry, you're going to buy it. I'm going to earn that commission. So cha-ching, there's income stream number 1. I'm going to furnish it for you in my spare time, and I'm going to charge you a little fee. Ching ching, number 2, income stream. And then thirdly, because you don't live in the same city, I'm going to manage it for you professionally and charge you a commission, 25% fee. And there was income stream number 3. That first client was so happy with that process that 6 months later, she picked up the phone and she said, do it again. Go find me another property and repeat that process. So that was how I then discovered that I needed to launch a short-term rental business. Of course, there was a lot of hard work, and I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir when I tell you this, that the first 12 months was absolutely me doing a lot of the work myself, cleaning, shopping, setting up these properties, to the point where I remember one day doing 17 beds, making 17 beds in a row and going, this is shit. And I hope I can close your ears.
Don't worry about the audience.
Sorry, audience, if you don't like the Australian slang coming through. But it was like, whose idea was this stupid short-term rental business? That's it. I'm either going to need to get some help, or I need to give it up and go and find a job. Luckily, I took that first option. So the next day I met with a friend of mine, Glenn, who was 70 years old, had just retired from advertising. He said to me, Julie, I just don't want to give up my independence. I want to still keep working. I want to earn an income, but I want to do it on my terms. And I said, well, can you clean? Have you got a smartphone, and are you prepared to meet and greet guests? And he said yes. And I said, well, here's 10 properties. I'm going to give you a portfolio of properties while you're looking after the guests, cleaning, doing the laundry, and making sure that the properties are well looked after. I'm going to go out and find some more properties. And I really had to recognize what I was good at, what he was good at, and make sure that I was spending my time on valuable tasks. So that was a real awakening, but that was really how I got started. And then of course we can talk about scaling and selling, but that was the light bulb moment.
Nice. And I had with our franchise network, we have a certain amount of properties we want our team to get to. But you'd mentioned, I saw you speaking, if it was a podcast or live, having 130 properties, but only doing 10 hours a week. Guys, there's some people out there with 2 properties that would do more than 10 hours a week. So always intrigued. How do you manage that?
Well, how do we go from working? So for the first 12 months, folks, it wasn't 10 hours a week. It was, 50 hours a week plus, and it was hectic. But as soon as I switched on that business brain and went, right, I need some processes, I need a team, I need a structure.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I was able to implement that, that's when I was able to step back and realize that the business did not have to be dependent on me,
For sure.
that I could actually delegate and I could trust in other people. Now, that's hard, okay? If you're watching this right now and you're going, I'm a control freak, you're not alone. You just need to learn to have trust in others. Did you find the same when you were growing your business, or did you find that you had to find that trust in others?
Well, very briefly, it said we've had a management business since 2006, but we started Pillow in its current form in 2016, the same time you started, and it took me a decade to learn the lesson. I did craft away for a whole decade, and it basically built Pillow in 18 months, the same as it took me a decade, and that was delegation. The entrepreneur's martyrdom syndrome, or whatever they call it. I need to work 50 hours. I need to work hard. Yes. Nobody can do it the same as me. And it turns out most people can do 90% of things better than you. There's entrepreneurs, as founders, as CEOs, as the leaders of businesses, there's things that we can do. They're probably only 5%. The team, you've met some of the team, they'll all do better things than me. They're better spellers, have better memory, they'll be better at...
they're much nicer than you.
They're much better. I'm now the worst person. So delegating is a key tip, and it took me 10 years to learn that. And if I had done that in 2006, well... I would be $1 million host.
Do you think? I reckon that there's. Yeah, well, you could. Hey, it's fantastic. But I think that there's this idea in our heads as entrepreneurs that we've got to be working our asses off and putting in the hours to show that we're successful. Well, I don't believe in that. I think work smart, not hard. I felt like I had achieved that when I would turn up to my office and the girls would say, "Stop! What are you doing here? Don't touch anything." Because they knew that I didn't know my business as well as they did. And meeting your team today, I think, you've got some fantastic people that are operating here, and I'm sure that they're the same. They're probably like, "What are you doing here, Scott? Don't touch anything." Well,
we were talking about software, PMS systems earlier, and I do not have a login to the PMS system. We recently changed to, and 2 years ago, I was like, no, I need to be the person that masters it. I need to be the person that knows. I need to go in and find out how every menu option works, do the training modules. And deliberately, at the end of last year, we're meaning to change. It was a planned thing, a big task to get 1,000 properties over in a PMS and tens of thousands of bookings. I don't know. But I deliberately did not ask for a login and have not logged in once to the new PMS system, because it's just it's a time vampire of me, and it makes me trust my team. And it makes they need to master it. So that was a big thing for me.
That is kind of cool, isn't it? And
it's scary. It was scary, but now that you want to log in, and I'm deliberately saying no. You can show me and tell me the information, but I have not logged in. And guys, for those not in the short-term rental industry, PMS, property management system, it's a reservation. It's the engine that runs your business. Think of a car engine. That is it. And without it, things will die very quickly if you've got more than one property.
Folks, I think the other thing you've got to keep in mind too is, as entrepreneurs, we're wanting to build these businesses, but for what? Like, for what reason and why? Like, for me, it was all about creating a lifestyle and living the life that I've got now. I hate seeing entrepreneurs that are building these businesses and still working 24/7, neglecting their children or not seeing their family, or marriages falling apart because of it. I really admire entrepreneurs that can actually take that step back, remove themselves from the business, and for that lifestyle reason. But also, when you do that, it makes your business more valuable. If you're ever looking to sell your business, you've got to remove yourself and not have the business dependent on you.
It was one of my very first. You have BNI in Australia, Business Networking International, and one of my very first business meetings, I learnt this lesson 18 years ago, and it was an accountant who was our first accountant said to the BNI meeting, "Who in here has a business?" And everybody put their hand up. And he said, put your hand down if it could run without you. If you had to get hit with a bus and were in a coma for 6 months, and every single person out of 40 put their hand down, he says, none of you are business owners, you are self-employed. And it was plumbers, and it was builders, and it was joiners, meaning that, hey, if you're a carpet shampooer, you don't have a business unless you have a set of systems. And he said, business isn't you. You are self-employed. You own a job. A business is a set of systems and procedures that runs independently of you. A McDonald's franchise owner owns a business, but they don't flip burgers. Whereas a burger business owner, if they're flipping the burgers in the burger stall and they're off sick, they don't have a business. They're self-employed. So that is a key lesson I learned. It's systemizing businesses.
I like it.
Yes. So quickly your exit, because we're here forever. But exiting businesses, you mentioned a cool thing. We did a webinar last night for potential franchisees, and one of the first slides wasn't about building businesses, it was about ikigai, the Japanese principle of finding your purpose in life.
I love it.
Quick Venn diagram. Who doesn't love Venn diagrams? We have what you love in life, what you are great at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. And those four overlapping circles in the middle is called ikigai. That's your purpose for living.
Wow.
And if you only have, let's say you're in the corporate world and you're very good at what you do, but you don't like it, you will feel unfulfilled. There'll be, even if you're missing one of those, you're great at your job, you're getting paid for it, the world needs what you deliver, but you don't love it, you will never feel, there'll be something missing, guys. So we're building a franchise network, and indeed at Pillow, we want every single employee to find their ikigai, that little Venn diagram of what they're amazing at, the mastery and feeling good at their job, what they love doing. This isn't work. Pillow isn't work. I can work all the hours because it's fun. What the world needs, and they need property managers to help host. They need us to provide social impact, and what you can get paid for. By the way, guys, any of our hosts watching, of which I'm sure there's many, remember Julie's hosts are 25%, ours are 20%. So how you can't complain about those high 20% fees when other people are charging 25%. So finding your purpose in life is more, there's multi-business than just doing that. Last thing on this, I'd also something I'd heard about other people that work for you finding their purpose. Cleaners, for example. Let's take cleaners. Anybody in the short-term rental industry, one of the biggest cogs in your machine that will fall off could be cleaners. And sorry for any cleaners watching, but it's essentially true because of the amount of turnovers they do. It's frequent, so hence more chance of it going wrong. There's cleaners that would just clean, but then there's people that turn properties around, they're hospitality experts. How do you get third-party people who are not part of your culture to believe in your core values and take pride? I don't know.
I think you've got to change the narrative. You can't just look at employing people on an hourly rate for a job in a cleaning role. And certainly that was for me. I wanted empowered, loyal. I wanted them out there selling for me and finding more listings for me. So I wanted a cleaning team that were more than cleaners. And so for me, I had co-hosts that, like Glenn, my 70-year-old, who I said, here's 10 properties. I want you to meet the guests. I want you to communicate with the guests. I want you to clean the property. I want you to report through any damages that are in that property. But I then want you to go and do the laundry. And I gave him that responsibility. I gave him a little bit like a franchise, but not a franchise, but actually, had I kept going, I often look at Pillow Partners and go, had I kept going with Host My Home in Australia, where would it be? Where would it be? Would it be and because franchising, I just think is so smart because you're setting that standard, you're offering that support system. I'm a big admirer of Pillow Partners, obviously, folks. But I think empowering people and being able to share the profits is another thing. Now that's so with my co-host, with Glenn, 70-year-old, the deal was I was charging the homeowner 25%, but I was paying Glenn 6% and the cleaning fee. Now with 10 properties, he was probably earning about $1,500 a week. And he was making a pretty good income, but the earnings were not capped. He was able to earn more money if he was able to extend stays, if he was able to do a late checkout, if he was able to sell a tour. So we had all these incentives built in that he was able to earn more money. And run his business, if he could show the capacity that he could take on more properties, I would allocate another property to him.
Yep.
If he couldn't take on, if he wasn't coping and the reviews were showing that he was not keeping up maybe with the cleaning, we would retrain. But then otherwise we would take one of those properties off him and give it and allocate it to another property host. So it was, it actually, if I was to do it all over again, I'd probably use that same structure.
Yes, that's similar to ours, but again, I think when you was and again go back to the webinar we did last night, I think it was Zig Ziglar, if you've crazy American preacher guy back in, I said last night in my webinar, so when tapes, cassettes in cars, 95% of the audience will not remember cars that have cassette decks. You literally put the cassette into the thing and it plays and you have to rewind it
with a pencil.
Yeah.
Look how old we are.
Who would have thought at 30 we would be remembered?
I know.
Yeah, 30. But that and the advice I got from those crazy tapes, putting a cassette into my first car, essentially, how to build a massive business and how to get your staff to care is make them feel as if they own the business. So why not? That's our thing. Make them. How do we get people to manage and host properties for people better than anybody else? And it's make them feel as if they own the business, because they do own it, and it's the same as your thing.
Pride and set some key performance indicators, like get them to be, like if the reviews are coming back with 5 stars, reward them. If they're coming back with 3 stars, retrain them. But set some key performance indicators, but empower these staff members, love them, share the profits. I can't express enough that if you can put the investment into these people, it will come back tenfold. So don't be stingy with these cleaners or with your staff. Look after them, because it costs so much more to recruit than it does to retain those people. And
host guys, if you're watching and you're arguing about a couple of pounds here and there, and I could get somebody else to do it for £2. They stay 40 miles away, and it's one person that takes the bus because they do it £2 cheaper, guys. When you're paying your cleaners, make them your business partners. Make them help. We always say to meet the host of the cleaning organisation, help them build their business. They've got challenges of recruiting staff members. Exactly. When do they recruit them? Do they have too many hours? I mean, that's a financial balance for a cleaning company or the head of a cleaning company. Build in tandem as our property managers build up to 50 properties in each area. We want to have that cleaning company or 2 that we help them grow. Yep. So
when I was recruiting too, Scott, and when I say change the narrative, I mean in your job ads as well. Don't just say that we're looking to employ a cleaner. Say that you're looking to partner with someone in the local area who wants to learn about short-term rentals. Pillow Partners franchise, for example. Like I just think it's so smart what you're doing, and I can't wait to see what's going to be in the future.
I don't do it, so the team do it. I just sit here and interview beautiful Aussies. That's my job. I'm just the beauty of the organisation. The brains happen behind the scenes. We started talking about things about hosts, and the predominant audience here will be probably people that are short-term rental Airbnb hosts or want to get into the market. As we record this, officially in a recession,
2024, March 2024,
companies
it's tough.
Companies like Price Labs, Book.com, Airbnb, Price Lab statistics say between 8 and 20% drop in bookings from this time last year. Again, we were coming out of the staycation boom, maybe getting back to normal. Some areas are massive oversupply in the UK. Operators, just every second person's getting rid of their buy-to-let and putting up. But as we record this, new licensing coming in England, and a recent budget announcement from the Chancellor saying how we're making it less tax efficient. So hosts who were getting bookings many years ago that have probably done this for 15 years and didn't need help are now reaching out, and they're now struggling, and we can read the forums. Some people are doing amazingly well, but even the classic holiday home areas. So your experience from your business in the Australian market, but what you see at these conferences, because you'll get to hear the guest speakers. What's some tips for hosts?
We actually need to smarten ourselves up. Look, it's tough out there. It's really tough out there. And I think it's now time to lift our standards in the industry, to really get smart when it comes to dynamic pricing, even to make sure that we are optimizing our nightly rates. An interesting statistic that came from AirDNA just recently was that 50% of listings on Airbnb have two rates, a weekday rate and a weekend rate. 50%. How much money is being left on the table?
Crazy.
It's just nuts. And, I've got to say my biggest regret when I was running my 130 properties, I didn't use dynamic pricing, which was a big mistake. I calculate that I left about 12% of overall earnings on the table, and that's $1 million. 12% of 800,000, 8 million. Sorry, yeah, it's a lot of money. Anyway, I lose sleep about that. Do not do that. So make sure you're using dynamic pricing. Make sure that you are using professional images. I'm traveling around the UK now looking to book short-term rentals. There is a lot out there, but there's not a lot that are doing it well. And it may be, if you find that it's too hard, you need to employ a professional to do it for you. But this is the time that we need to really smarten it up. So if you've got a listing that's underperforming, don't just sit on it. You need to talk to Scott or somebody that's an expert in the area, and make sure you're making the most of it. So, lift those professional photos, dynamic pricing, making sure that you are being responsive, getting that communication piece down, and looking after your guests and getting those good reviews through.
The basics, well, guys, is what we're hearing. There's some fancy stuff out there. There's AI, there's all this, but all these amazing things. I see people implementing AI chatbots when they've taken pictures on their mobile and they're in the toilet seats up, their cat's in the background, they're in the shower reflection or in the mirror, and they're trying to do
drug the dens showing, or it's not cool.
Well.
And I think I think you've got to be really wary that you're making the most of you get one chance for a first impression, right? So let's make the most of it.
So we went down to the micro level pictures, listings. While you're here, I need to take a big picture. I would know about service accommodation in the UK, and we train the team like that. But you see a worldwide thing. You're at all these conferences, you hear all the speakers, you see the trends, you get to experience things in a macro, worldwide level. What's some thoughts on the industry worldwide, a bigger picture for that?
Look, I think I'm seeing a big shift to midterm rentals this year. So rather than the short stays, a lot of hosts are moving into that month-long plus stays. I don't know if that's the same in the UK. I've got to be honest, I haven't kept up with that, but certainly in the North American market, the Australian market, Asia, people are looking for those midterm stays, looking for direct bookings and going straight to companies like insurance companies. That's happening more prevalently. Hotels, boutique hotels, a big shift into hosts that are transforming hotels into a hybrid short-term rental, like a flexible check-in. You have the property for 24 hours. There's some cool things happening there as well, but happening in the UK?
Well, it's definitely that model you talk about, apart hotels, big thing. It was a big thing. We did a lot of training ourselves to make sure we were up to date as a company for apart hotels. Got some scattered all over. I definitely agree. We've been pretty lucky at Pillow, because of the background since 2006. We've done long and executive lets, corporate lettings. So during lockdown, we had 100% occupancy. Emma next door had 25 units during lockdown that had 100% occupancy. Bear in mind, it was illegal to places like Derbyshire, the Peak District, classic holiday home areas. You could not accept guests. It was illegal. Because guests were travelling tourists. Airbnb, remember, shut your listings down and refunded all the guests. You couldn't book through Airbnb. So before then, I hate giving big tech companies the power to destroy a business. They could shut your Airbnb listing down. And by the way, guys, I've done it in America. Somebody's daughter had put something about Donald Trump. And the Airbnb's algorithm said, we're shutting your listing down because of your daughter's political affiliation. So I've known for a long time, you cannot give these big tech companies direct bookings. But the best business model for us, long-term corporates, just insurance jobs. And we were talking about actors have signed non-disclosure, so what we spoke about I can't say. Actors, by the way, Glasgow city centre looks very much like New York and Gotham City. So sometimes we will see Batgirl and Batman riding about in the Batmobile. Very true. The newest Batman film, the final scene was filmed at the Necropolis in Glasgow.
No
as
way.
he cruises away in his bike. So Glasgow's always shut off, so we can't say who, but big production companies use us. They're great ones. Hey, when you get these companies, it isn't the crazy guest coming for 2 nights. It's a 2-3 month long booking.
Yeah, well, tap into it and find out who is the person that's booking that accommodation. Offer them a free stay. Get them in there because they've got to experience your properties. But you've just got to be mindful of whenever a guest is coming in that you're collecting their information, you're retargeting. The famous saying is the OTA should be bringing the online travel agent, should be bringing you the guest the first time around.
100%.
And then every other time they come, they should be direct booking. Mark Simpson, that's for you because I know that you're the direct booking king. So
100%. And I put a video out. I filmed it yesterday and said, are direct bookings worth it? If you're one person with one property and you're putting all this time and effort in spending money to acquire those guests rather than the OTAs, is it worth it if you're one person with one property? Now, as a business like Pillow, it is. But as soon as I put that, I didn't even think the video was live. As soon as I put that video, are direct bookings worth it? Mark Simpson from Boostly said, yes, short answer. Lindsay, he must have an algorithm set up for anything about direct bookings.
I'm sure.
It was only live a second.
He's probably just stalking you.
No, well, Mark's busy doing it. Mark Simpson from Boostly, I'll give him a shout out. He is running a 5-day event. So apologies, there's some conflict because everybody will leave his 5-day event to come and listen to you. So
I'm
sorry.
sure. Sorry.
Guys, let's get some questions in before we start finishing up. If you're watching, I want to bring some questions in. Type them in wherever you are watching. We've looked at the kind of macro, the big approach. And one of the things I love to do on these podcasts, we get some amazing guests with amazing knowledge, is bring that down to helping individuals. We've got our charity, Safe Havens, but we're discussing the plans for the new office, and it is hot desk and getting young entrepreneurs in, giving them free office space. The team will help them write their CVs. The marketing team will do their headshots and lots of things here. So we help the business people at the start, and then we want to help entrepreneurs. What's your advice, top tips for youngsters? It doesn't need to be the short-term rental industry, but young entrepreneurs, maybe young, we'll start with generic, but watching us and saying, well, they two are talking on camera, they're comfortable, they're these hosting conferences, they've built multi-million-pound businesses. That's not me. But we didn't start there, did we? We started as ourselves in life. So some stuff for young entrepreneurs. Guys, fire some questions in.
Look, I think you've just got to give it a go and take a risk. I see a lot of people dreaming about maybe starting a business or getting into it, but taking action and actually doing it is a different thing. And it's scary. Yes, you have to be brave. You have to pull your big girl panties up and go and have a go. What's the worst that can happen? You might have to go and get another job. If it doesn't work out, it will work out. I mean, we all failed, right?
Sure.
So there's so many mistakes that I made, but I think the best advice that I would give somebody now is to find a mentor, find a coach, lean in on, like we were talking about our community before, join there's not so many great Facebook groups, but certainly find a community of like-minded people in your industry. So even if you're not short-term rental, but just being able to find supportive people and surround yourself with people that enhance you, and that goes a long way. So educate yourself. There's so much free information out there now. If you YouTube or read some books as well. But honestly, I just think take action. Taking action is, and just giving it a go. Yes, you might make mistakes, but you also could end up running a pillow talk, running a Host My Home, writing a book, and traveling the world.
By the way, guys, it's amazing. When we started in business, it was hard slogs. You would have offices and staff, and there's kids making tens of thousands of pounds a month by not even making original content on TikTok.
Yeah.
They're taking this podcast, for example, taking snippets, putting it on TikTok,
Yeah.
and then putting some graphics of which AI does it, and they're making more money than you and
I
I.
know.
It's amazing.
Well-
There's never been a better time.
Well, there's
to do that.
there's OnlyFans too now. Have you heard of that?
Oh, of course. Get the special offer at the end of this. True Scotsman and Kilts.com. Well, I'm going to bring a question in.
Okay.
Let's see quickly. A big one. Home fix. Julie, you had a property manager for say 10 properties every time. Is that the equivalent of using Pillow for management of our properties with no limit to the amount of properties? And that's a complicated one.
That is a complicated one. Look, there was no limit to the amount of properties my co-hosts could take on as long as they had the capacity and they had the business plan for it as well. Because so I had one lady who had 23 properties. Natalie was her name. She was just a little entrepreneur. She was like, I love Natalie, and I still stay in touch with Natalie. But she came in all guns firing. She wanted her mum to clean for her sister, her auntie. She was Papua New Guinean descent. She look, and I said to her, you can keep handling the work. You can stay up with the communication. You meet the KPIs. You're getting the reviews. I'm going to keep giving you more properties. And so she was earning $4,000 or $5,000 a week, and really doing very well out of it. So, but no, yeah. So there's no limit as long as you've got the capacity to keep up.
Excellent. We'll maybe come back to that in time because it's
Sure.
Who does short-term rentals the best? Well, are you been to these countries? Who's got the best customer service?
Pillow Talk.
Well,
Actually, it's funny. So,
what country?
which country?
Yeah, country. Yes. What's better at hospitality at short-term rentals?
Okay, I'm going to tell you. Well, I'll tell you who's the best at hospitality, full stop, because I've just been there 2 days ago. Singapore.
Really?
Folks, if you haven't been to Singapore, please put it on your bucket list. It's just it's like a hospitality mecca where as soon as you get off the plane, people are loving on you. It's smiles all around. They're patient. Singapore is probably up there. Fiji, I know that's a little random, but it's also, they're just chilled out. They're relaxed. They're not sweating the small stuff. I'll tell you who doesn't do it very well is Dubai. I was just there this morning.
Really?
Very, just not a smile to be cracked. I think Scotland's doing it pretty good so far. So,
well, you will see in the rest of your trip. What's the rest of your trip plan?
Yeah, so I've got a week now in Scotland. We're off to the Isle of Skye, up to Inverness, Edinburgh. We're then going to Ireland for the very first time. So I'm just going to, to be sure. I've got so many jokes lined up. I should be right with a Guinness in my hand, right? So, and then we're off to the UK for about 10 days before I get to judge the Shorties Awards in London, which is, I have to actually compare property managers from right around the world to see where they fit in terms of offering the best standards, the best hospitality, and we will award those people on the 23rd of April. 24th of April, we will be at the Short Stay Summit at Old Billingsgate.
Yep.
Great conference. If you're in the UK and you're if you're hungry for improving your business, for knowledge, I'll be there at the Old Billingsgate for Short Stay Summit. Scott, you'll be there as well?
Yes, by the way, I forgot the deadline and didn't apply for the Shorty Awards, so there's no conflict of interest here.
You're not going to win this year, are you?
No, not this year. But yes, we'll be at the Short Stay Summit, not exhibiting that one, but we'll be there. I think Emma and I and a few of the property managers are going to be meeting up. So if you want to meet Julie, she'll be there.
I'll be there. I'll maybe have a couple of books. And actually, in fact, folks, if you've stuck with us and you're watching this right now, I'm going to give you let's give a couple of books away. Yeah. I've got 5 ebooks to give out to anybody who shoots me a message on social media, connects with me on social media, and says, I saw you on the Pillow Talk podcast.
Guys, the team behind the scenes, can you get the Facebook profile link for $1 Million Host? And I'll put it in the chat. if you guys, or you do it, I'll bring it on screen, but put it into the chat,
Perfect.
guys.
So Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm even on TikTok. I'm a TikToker. I know, it's great. So, but folks, just get in touch. Say that you saw Scott and I talking. First 5, I'm going to throw you a copy of $1 Million Host.
Fantastic. Next question here, and we'll finish with some here. I want to. We spoke about entrepreneurs and some tips. We were speaking to somebody, and they were interested, shocked that we were 75-80% female, because obviously there's an imbalance of males and females dominate markets. And for me, it's nice and simple. It's not that we've created that artificially. It just happens to be that property managers in the short-term rental industry, they're just better at it, right? So I'll give kudos. Sorry to all the guys in the business. And again, we've got lots of male franchisees, male property managers, and the male team here. But I think on average, we're definitely with 75, 80. And I think by the end of this year, we'll be 80% plus female. So this is an amazing industry, because if I think a male-dominated industry, like building ships or being a brickie or digging holes in roads, right? Building, like the construction, a female may say, well, this is a hard industry to break and it's male dominated, but this isn't a female dominated industry as such, but there's great opportunities for females in this.
Amazing opportunities. And what I really get excited about is mums with maybe school age or little children who are looking for a new opportunity. They're wanting to be, they want some work. They want to be self-employed. Well, what better than short-term rentals, where the majority of our work happens during school hours, and you can take your children with you, because they may just earn you an extra point on the review system because you've got a cute toddler coming with you. But it's very exciting. Look, as you were saying that too, it reminded me that there is data that shows on a profile picture on a listing that a female is more trusted than a male photograph. So if my photo was on a listing, or Scott Weir's photo was on a listing, who would you book with? So
definitely not me. Yeah.
So it's interesting. So half the time, if there's a husband and wife team, or I would say just put the wife's photo up there. You're going to get more bookings. Which I know it sounds crazy, but look, if it's more trusted, great. But ladies, if you're listening in right now, this is a fabulous industry to be involved in. It's supportive. It's you don't have to have any money to start off with. I didn't have anything. I don't know about when you started, but I think I had about $900 in my pocket. And as long as you've got a smartphone, you've got a mop, a bucket, a vacuum cleaner, go for it. Give it a shot. But ladies, if you're looking for some support, I'm there with you.
You mentioned that we had a concept, and then lockdown happened. We were going to set up we never wanted to get into cleaning or anything, but we wanted to set up let's say like an Uber or something like that. But again, not a business. It was, and we bought the domain name 10 to 2, because we've noticed that mums, people check out at 10 o'clock. And people check in at 3 traditionally, more or less, and that's the time when kids are
at school.
So if we had to create opportunities for people that would never have opportunities, it would be 10 to 2. And if we could just open up and say hi, like not an Uber, but if we could get cleaners that would say, well, that cleaner's not turned up 4 times, shite, that cleaner get great reviews. We can actually build another sub-industry like Uber Eats, of people nipping about in bikes, but for cleaners, 10 to 2. And it's a unique opportunity for people to go when people are checked out before they check in. So females, anybody looking at starting cleaning companies, we do property management. We will help you start cleaning companies. Why? Because if we've got a property manager, let's say 50 locations across the UK, and as we grow, you will grow. We don't want to get involved in cleaning. The franchisees don't want to go out and clean. They want to support other businesses. And as we get bigger, we need that infrastructure. So lots of opportunities.
I'd love to tell you quickly about there was a young mum who contacted me, and she said, Julie, I want to do what you're doing. I want to be a property manager in the short-term rental industry. And I said, well, let's have a chat about you for a second. Tell me about yourself. She was a teacher. She'd just given birth to 2 babies. So she had twins, newborn twins. And I said, you don't want to do what I'm doing. You do not want to be a property manager working 24/7 initially when you've got little babies. I said, but you're a teacher. You know the short-term rental industry well. I said, how about you set up a consulting business to help others create their listings?
Yep.
Mum and dads who want to create their own listings. Airbnb are giving fabulous kickbacks. So first of all, you're going to be able to get that kickback if you introduce a new host onto the platform. But secondly, you can charge a consulting fee. And so I think what we've got to do is when we are talking about entrepreneurs coming into our space, there isn't just one option of becoming a property manager. Yep. Look at your own skills. Look at what you're good at, what you're bad at. Look at what you like to do, what you don't like to do, and look at your lifestyle. If you've got new babies or if you have got other commitments, factor that in, because I think that there's a place for so many entrepreneurs in our industry. It might just not be the traditional role. So,
and I think fight the case. If you think of old school, old fat bald guys in offices saying, "Well, I need you in 9 to 5, and this child's reading gets in the way of my industry, and I'm not happy." Fight the case, because if you're saying to your boss, "Well, I'm going to need to travel 90 minutes to get in. I'm going to be tired. I'm going to need to travel 90 minutes to get home. I'm not seeing my family. I'm going to resent it." Whereas if you put the case to any employer and say, "I'm going to work from home, or indeed anywhere in the world, and here's the actual things. If I come in, you will get less productivity out of me. I will be less happy. If you can work around my family circumstances, like we're as flexible as we possibly can here, that person's going to be much more loyal to you. Then, as an employer, they're going to stick with you because what you're offering them, they can't get elsewhere. So pricing fluctuations are not going to leave you for a couple of grand extra from another job, because one, you've helped them, and they won't get that elsewhere. But you've showed them that you're willing to compromise your roles to help them build a life balance and see their kids, whatever that is, and they're more likely to stay with you. So I think the old way of 9 to 5, what's the Adam guy, the Wealth of Nations, that guy, the whole infrastructure of 9 to 5 that was essentially made up, I think, by a German.
I just
made up.
Can you imagine ever going back to imagine going working for a cubicle? Like, there's a saying where it says employees are always scared of losing their job. Entrepreneurs are always scared of having to get a job.
Yep.
So that's us.
That's us.
Don't employ us.
I would be unemployable. Here is lovely Danielle on.
Hi, Danielle.
Julie and Scott just followed you on LinkedIn. Super exciting where you travel to. Assuming that's you. That's super exciting. My LinkedIn's boring. And follow you for tips and advice. Thank you, Danielle. Joining the pillow has been the best thing for me and my family.
Oh, is that your sister or something?
Danielle's a superstar in Manchester and Widnes, so the kind of south of Liverpool, Manchester area. So Danielle is one of the key teams. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Danielle. That's how fantastic and how exciting that you're part of the Pillow Talk family.
Yes, I'm going to finish with
Pillow Talk, Pillow Partners.
Right.
We've got a company in Australia called Pillow Talk. They're a lovely. Well, I know, but they're a great homewares company. So it's obviously jet lag setting in right now.
There, as Rhonda's saying, that's me started a guest house to be at home with my girls.
How cool is that? Like, when you can figure out what sort of lifestyle you want, the dream lifestyle, then you go out and get it. So, Rhonda, you've done that, and your girls, you're such a good role model.
Yeah. The thing I love about that, and it does go back to what you're saying about bringing your family in. One thing, especially if prices are high and it's a guest house where rates are high in the summer and events are on, you never really want your guests resenting how much they're paying. And if you can, if you show people this is a family business, people don't like paying big tech companies money. I certainly don't. But when you can build an emotional connection with your guests, they get to know you, and they're paying you to support your girls, Rhonda. They're paying for school uniforms. They're not paying for somebody's Lamborghini. They're not. It's not going to, I'll say, Hilton, to shareholders in America to get them another yacht or whatever. So I think the hospitality side of a guest house with people, and that was the old school. old elderly people cooking breakfast, building that hospitality thing, which is gone as we automate businesses and we get key boxes and we automate things and we never even speak to you sometimes.
I just don't love it. Like I like the old school. Let's meet and greet people. And 130 properties, it was a personal meet and greet every time. I know that there's some people that are going back to that. I actually like it. So
and topic for another time there is Sandy. Sandy's an amazing female entrepreneur here in Glasgow and has her own short-term rental properties and manages for other people here. Learned something useful regarding how to partner and work with cleaners. So great. I'm going to finish up just to keep us under the hour, guys. And I want to go back to you. Julie has given up her time. That's mum's sitting next door, ready to go and explore Glasgow and Scotland, but I've dragged her in, so she's given her time freely to you guys. Hopefully you've got value. I know I have. Definitely value of how to structure pillow, but inspiration as well. So I want to put it over to you. If you're watching, Julie, I think that's the type of role model I would want. You don't do these things for fun. You've got a business. You need to fund your trips to Scotland to drink all the scotch in Glasgow. So if the audience are watching and had to try and get you some business, pass you some referrals, who would your ideal customer be and who can you add the most amount of value to?
Look, I am doing one-on-one coaching, but I'm very picky about who I'm working with. My ideal customer is a short-term rental operator who might have already got a couple of properties, 1, 2, 3 properties, but wants to turn that into a business and has no idea where to start. So they're looking for structure, they're looking for systems, they're looking for paperwork, contracts. I've got all that. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. I can do either coaching one-on-one, I can provide the templates from my website, but I've also got a community, a $1 Million Host mastermind community that I've started, and it's the #1 global platform in the world connecting the short-term rental operators from all around the world to share documents, to share tips, to share ideas, to talk about regulations, hospitality, finance, all sorts of fun stuff like that. So there's an app, but if you jump on milliondollarhost.com.au, you've got to put the .au for Australia. We'll sure to put it in the link below. But that's how you can get in touch with me. And I offer 15-minute free Zooms. So if you're watching right now and you just want to get on one-on-one to see if I can help you or for some advice on your own particular situation, book in a time. Let's chat.
Fantastic. We'll share all the information. If you're watching live, you'll have the information after this. You can follow up. If you're watching on the replay, we will be emailing this out to everyone in the links. Don't worry, we will share it far and wide. Next time, people can probably meet you Short Stay Summit down in... That's in April sometime.
Yes, it's in the 24th of April at Old Billingsgate, and I will be also at the Shorties Awards, handing out awards, not to Pillar Partners because they didn't put a nomination in. But folks, thanks so much for tuning in today. Scott, thank you very much for having me in your office.
Not at all.
It's so exciting. I get to go and check out Glasgow now.
Yep. So guys, that's us just under there. I've got lots of value. We covered so much stuff. We started talking about Julie's story, the books, the selling of a business and exiting. We took a little individual approach for hosts and individual operators. We looked at the macro worldwide thing. So I learned a lot there about what people are thinking. We looked at the industry as a whole. We brought it back with some tips for entrepreneurs in general, but young females looking to get into business. We heard from some of the audience. That was fantastic to see. Guys, this is just the start of these conversations. We only have so much time. People have so short attention span. Please connect with Julie if you have anything else, and we will all bump into each other at some point in the industry soon. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Cheers. And thank